How electrical generate no, my bad. Aircraft drawings. How many views are required to represent the important details or most aircraft parts of most aircraft parts? 1, 2, or 3 views are usually enough. What kind of parts can be represented by one view drawing? Parts with uniform thickness such as shims, plates, and gaskets. What is the name for a part of a drawing used to bring out important details and how it's drawn? A detailed view drawn larger than the main draw. What is the purpose of schematic diagrams? Used for troubleshooting system. Describe an orthographic projection. It's a way of drawing using different views: top view, front view, and side view. Why do manufacturers use symbols on aircraft drawings? Symbols are used to transmit characteristics with a minimum of drawing. Describe the appearance of lines used to show hidden views, alternate position, in the middle or symmetrical objects, and give their proper name. Hidden views um, equal lines Alternate positions: one large, two short, one large, two short, one large, two short. In middle: one large, one short, one large, one short, one large, one short. How can you determine if a drawing has been changed? Check the record on the changes list and may be located on the title or in the corner. How are dimensions shown on an aircraft drawing, and what is their purpose? Dimension lines are solid and broken at the midpoint for insertion of the measurement and provide size of the object. What is the difference between an allowance and a tolerance? Tolerance. Allowance is the difference between nominal dimension and the maximum and minimum permissible sizes. And tolerance is the difference between extreme permissible dimensions. That's it. What is meant by clearance when used on aircraft drawings? Allowable dimensions between two parts. What kinds of information about an aircraft drawing can be found in the title block? The part name, drawing size, scale, date, company name, and name or initials of people for creating or approving the drawing. What information is contained in a bill of materials? Materials and parts needed to fabricate or assemble the component. Weight and balance. If an aircraft is loaded so that the after CG limit is exceeded, what on the several flight characteristic is likely to result? If an aircraft is loaded so that the after CG limit is exceeded, what undesirable flight characteristic is likely to result? The aircraft will be tail heavy and is danger to recover from stall or spin. If all the records for an aircraft are missing, how would you determine the empty weight and empty weight center of gravity, or empty weight CG? Weight the aircraft again, and new weight and balance records are prepared. Define tare weight and describe how it's handled when weighing an aircraft. Define tare weight and describe how it's handled when weighing an aircraft. Is the weight of anything on the scales that is not part of the aircraft and must be subtracted from the scale weight to get net weight of an aircraft. If a piece of equipment such as radio is added to an aircraft, how can you determine the effect on weight and balance without reweighing the aircraft? If weight and balance records are up to date, a new weight and CG location can be computed or computed. Why is control of the weight and balance of an aircraft important? Why is control of the weight and balance of an aircraft important? to provide maximum safety. What is the datum of an aircraft and what is its function? Datum is an imaginary line at right angles to the longitudinal axis and is the reference point from all horizontal measurements are taken. How do you determine the moment of an item of equipment? Moment is equal weight of the item times arm, which is the distance between the item and the datum. What are two ways to what are two ways of determining the arm of an item of equipment? Distance between the item and the datum, or date supplied by the manufacturer. What should be done to obtain a positive plus moment after of the datum? Add weight. What should be done to obtain a negative minus moment after of the datum? Remove weight. What should be done to obtain a negative minus moment forward of the datum? Add weight. What should you done to obtain a positive plus moment forward of the datum? Remove weight. How does the category of an aircraft affect its loaded weight? An aircraft in more than one category, such as normal and aerobatic, may have two different gross weight and different useful loads. As you prepare an aircraft for weighing, you determine that there is equipment aboard that is not permanently installed and recorded on the equipment list. What should you do with this equipment? All the equipment not permanently installed in the aircraft or in the equipment list should be removed from the aircraft. Define the term residual fuel. Any fuel that remains in the tanks, lines, engine after the system has drained. Define the term residual oil. Any oil that remains in the tanks, lines, and engines after the system has been drained. How should you account for fuel when weighing an aircraft to determine weight and balance? One, drain fuel system only until just unusable fuel remains, or fill the tanks full and subtract of weight of usable fuel. Where are leveling instructions found? And describe one method of leveling an aircraft. Leveling instructions are in the TCDS type certificate data sheets and could be using an spirit level or using a plumb bob. Define the term mean aerodynamic chord or MAC. Is the chord drawn through center of the wing? Describe the two most common ways of showing the CG location and/or CG range. Inches from the datum or percent of MAC, mean aerodynamic chord. What is the purpose of an aircraft loading graph? Method for determining how distribute the load to keep CG into limits. What is ballast and why would you use it in an airplane? Ballast is weight added to the aircraft to bring CG into allowable range or limits. Installations or several new radios in the nose of an aircraft causes the forward CG. Limit top exceeded. How can you correct this problem without removing the new equipment? Ballast may be installed in the tail to move CG. How does the CG range of an helicopter compare to that of a fixed-wing airplane? Helicopters have much smaller CG range. Aircraft structural materials. How do you work harden a piece of metal? By cold working the metal. Describe the primary difference between a thermosetting and a thermoplastic resin. Describe the primary difference between a thermosetting and a thermoplastic resin. Thermoplastic becomes soft and pliable when heated and hardened when cooled. Thermosetting doesn't get soft when heated. Explain how thermoplastic and thermosetting resin are commonly used in modern aircraft. As plexiglass used in windshields, windows, and lights. This is thermoplastic resins. In thermosettings, it's used as matrix material in composed structures. Name one of the types of resin commonly used as a matrix material for aircraft composites laminated. Epoxy resin. What are some of the materials that are commonly used as the reinforcing component in a composed structure? Fiberglass, Kevlar, carbon fiber, linen, and paper. What are the reasons that alloy steel that is responsive to heat treatment is usually less suitable for welding? It may become brittle, which means frágil, and lose ductility, conductividad. Give one advantage of pre-impregnated materials other than saving time in the construction or repair of composite components. Prepreg contains correct amount of matrix. Aircraft hardware. What is indicated by the markings on the heads of solid shank rivets. the material are made, and indirectly their strength. How can you keep heat-treated aluminum alloy rivets soft enough to install after quenching process? If the rivet was stored in a freezer, will remain soft for several days. What is the grip length of a bolt? The length of the untreated portion. In what way are AN standard steel bolts identified? By the code marking on the bolt head. What is the difference between a close tolerance bolt and a general purpose bolt? A close tolerance bolt is used to more accurate dimensions. For what types of application are self-locking nuts not allowed? When the bolt or nut are subject to rotation. If the main procedures do not specify a torque value for a bolt or nut, how can you determine the proper values? Consult a standard table in AC 43.131b. What is the most commonly used type of aircraft control cable? Extra flexible 7 by 19 stainless steel cable. Hand tools and measurement devices. What type of precision measuring instrument can be used to measure the outside dimension of aircraft parts? A micrometer or vernier calipers. For what reasons should a micrometer be periodically calibrated? If dropped, accuracy is affected. Fluid lines and fittings. What are the two types of fluid lines commonly found in aircraft? Rigid metal lines and flexible hoses. Describe the method of classifying metal tube according to size. Metal tube is sized according wall thickness and outside diameter. The outside diameter is measured in 1/16-inch increments. When installing stainless steel tubing, what type of fitting should be used? Stainless steel fittings. What is the function of the sleeve on a flared tube fitting? The nut fits over the sleeve to form the seal. Describe the two types of flares commonly used on aircraft tubing. single flare and double flare. How can you determine if a fitting is an AN type rather than an AC type? AM fittings have a shoulder between the flare coin and the end of the threads. AC fittings do not. What are the most significant difference between AN and AC fittings? What are the most significant difference between AN and AC fittings? A sleeve length, thread pitch, and the shoulder between the threads and the flare coin on an AN fittings. What are the names of the parts of a flareless tube fitting? The knot and the sleeve. How do you tell a flareless fitting from a flare type fitting? The flareless fitting has no flare coin, has no space between threads and end-on fittings. What is the effect of over-tightening a flare type fitting? Sealing surface may be damaged. In addition to being securely clamped, what is an additional requirement for installing metal fuel, oil, and hydraulic lines? Lines must be electrically bonded to the structure. What are some of the important advantages of Teflon tubing? Compatible with almost all liquids, good operating temperature range, low resistance to fluid flow, and long service life. Describe the identification markings commonly found on flexible hoses. A ley line, military specific number, manufacturer's name, hose size, and data code. How can you determine if a flexible hose has been correctly installed or incorrectly installed? The ley line will be straight if it's correct, twisted if it's incorrect. How are flexible hose sizes designated? By the inside diameter measured in 1/16-inch increment. What precaution must be observed when boring the end of a tube after it is cut. The wall thicknesses must not be reduced. Describe the operation of quick disconnect copings. Each valve no, each has a valve that is held open when connected and a spring-loaded closed when disconnected. If you fabricate a replacement for a flexible hose, what percentage of the total length must be added to allow for movement under pressure? Five to 8%. What happens to the tube when a flareless fitting is over-tightened? Tube weakened. Why are quick disconnect fittings used? No loss of fluid, no air into the system.